The hosts of bracketology are experts in nothing. They claim no advanced knowledge or profound insights. Instead, they are just three judgmental idiots who really like to bloviate their own opinions whenever given the chance. Take what they have to say with a grain of salt, or not at all. You'll probably be better off that way.
So, a little behind the scenes here. We are recording this. This episode will come out the Wednesday after WrestleMania. Is that right? Yeah. But we're recording it on the Monday before. So everyone who listens to this podcast, clearly avid wrestling fans, will already know the results of WrestleMania 41, but we yet at this point do not. So I think what we should do is take this opportunity to make some predictions, and then we can revisit them and see how successful we were after the event. So in 2 weeks, that episode we can revisit.
Definitely remember.
Absolutely.
To go back and revisit this.
We have definitely never made a promise like this and then not followed up on it. So some matches to talk about. Do we do all of them? There's a lot to choose from here.
Let's quickly go through them, and then each of us can pick two to like expand more upon.
Okay.
I think I'm just throwing this out there. I think Jerry the King Lawler is going to win
against a heart attack.
No, he is going to.
He's done it before.
The heavyweight championship. That's my prediction.
Great. I could go down a whole tangent about the Jerry the King Lawler heart attack episode, but anyway. Before we get into this, did you happen to see how much coverage for WrestleMania is expected this weekend?
I'm assuming a tremendous amount. It's in Vegas.
18 hours is how long it's going to be over the weekend. If you watch it all, if you watch pre-show, main event, and after show, it's 9 hours each night. 18 total hours of WrestleMania. That is ridiculous.
There are like 20 people actually on the card, and they all have to be a part of the fucking press conference after the fact. I
guess so.
Plus everybody else for the WrestleMania weekend fan expo that they do. So,
So getting into it, actually, I just realized the version of the card that I pulled up doesn't have the pre-show stuff on it. Did the one that I shared with you guys before have the pre-show?
Fuck if I know, man. It's on. I put it in the Discord so you can see it. I reposted it.
Oh, maybe that is it. Okay. All right. So night one, we have the World Tag Team Championship, Viking Raiders, the current reigning champions, versus the New Day. We have Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano, which is definitely not Chad Gable dressed up like a luchador. Naomi versus Jade Cargill. We have, for the United States Championship, current champion LA Knight defending against Jacob Fatu. We have WWE Women's Championship, Tiffany Stratton, the current champion, defending against Charlotte Flair.
Tiffany's going to win.
We have World Heavyweight Champion Gunther defending against Jey Uso. And then we have a triple threat Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus CM Punk.
Okay. So quickly, we'll go through these and just say who we think the winner is going to be.
Okay.
So start with, what did you start with? The Tag Team Championship?
Yep. I went from bottom to top, assuming, because that's supposed to be the actual order of the card for the night.
So Viking Raiders versus New Day. I think the New Day wins this to substantiate their heel faction.
I don't know how. Okay. Yeah, sure. I'm going to say I agree. New Day as well.
I think it's going to be a muddy title because the Dudley brothers are going to come in and hit somebody through a table.
The Dudley brothers.
Yeah. It's going to disqualify.
With a Z.
I like it. I like the Dudley brothers interference in the match call out. Matt, do you think Big E gets involved?
I think that he does get involved, but not physically. I think that he comes out, has like a
distraction or something.
Yeah, and it potentially starts his return.
Does he help New Day or is he face?
No, he's face. No.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Although
it's a hard turn.
They've made hard turns recently. All right. Rey Mysterio versus. Yeah, well, yeah, that's true too. I mean, hell yeah, the New Day is a hard turn, not let alone John Cena. Man, could you imagine if they turn Big E too, though? That would be crazy. All right, Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano.
I think El Grande Americano makes his name at WrestleMania here.
I do think that Chad Gable has been a workhorse for the company for quite a few years. I think he's due his comeuppance, and I think Rey Mysterio has a very prominent place in the company as a legend who does that for people.
Yeah,
and I
he
think
absolutely puts people over.
I think he's going to put Chad Gable over.
Yeah.
Dan?
I think the PC police are going to come in and confiscate El Grande Americano or whatever the fuck his name is for being racially insensitive.
So WWE is going to tap back into its more like politically charged roots of the 80s and early 90s, and we're going to have ICE come out and
deport him.
Interrupt this match.
Yeah,
it's Sergeant Slaughter in an ice jacket.
Yeah, it's Sergeant Slaughter with his mustache is going to come out in an ice jacket and deport
Rey Mysterio.
El Grande Americano.
No, hold on.
Because he's wearing a mask.
I like where you're going with this, but hold on. I think he deports Rey Mysterio, and then they start to try and deport El Grande Americano, and that's when
the mask comes off.
Chad Gable to reveal his mask and be like, "Wait, I'm not Mexican.
I'm not Mexican." All right.
And that's how he gets to stay.
All right.
That's his WrestleMania moment.
Naomi versus Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill's going to win this.
Yeah, 100%. She just came back. She was touted to be the next big thing before she got injured. They're going to pick her up right where she left off.
Yeah.
And in this match, a hologram of China is going to show up somewhere.
Just like a...
Honestly, would not surprise me.
Yeah. All right. Dan, I love your guy. Up next, the United States Championship, LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu.
I think so. Opposite.
What championship is this?
United States Championship.
The U.S. Championship. ICE is already here, so they're just going to be lumberjacks. I think Jacob Fatu wins this, despite interference from the rest of that bloodline.
Do you think this is going to be like a bloodline building event in WrestleMania?
I mean, I think
it kind of hints forward to a next match or another match, but still.
Yeah, I think that Jacob Fatu is already kind of turning face and wanting to do things respectfully. And he's just a beast, and they're going to want to push him in a singles run. So I think Jacob Fatu gets it.
Remind me, has LA Knight really had a WrestleMania moment?
He had no, because last year he had the match with fucking Logan Paul, didn't he?
Yeah, and he lost that, right?
Yeah.
He didn't win any of the Battle Royals or anything.
Mm-mm.
I think he's one that's been a draw for the company. And I think, again, I know that they don't necessarily look at it as being owed a WrestleMania moment. I don't think Paul Levesque would agree with that sentiment or that concept, but it does kind of feel like he's due for one. I'm going to disagree with you on this one. I'm going to say LA Knight.
All right. My prediction, LA Knight is going to have the upper hand, and then Hacksaw Jim Duggan is going to roll out with this 2x4 and interrupt the match by swinging it wildly, just enough to disrupt the count, and LA Knight loses.
It throws the ref off. He just waves a piece of wood at him, and he's like, "Ah!"
I love
Exactly.
I love that from Dan. We've got the Dudley Brothers, which is so close but no cigar, and then we got that Hacksaw comes out and waves around the 2x4, which again, so close but no cigar. Like he's just right on the. As you can tell, the last time he really watched was 1980. Yeah, the last time he really watched was like 1984, but he kind of stayed in tune until 1987, 88, and then he just lost it. All right, Women's Championship: Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Oof.
If they do this right, Charlotte Flair loses this match to Tiffany Stratton. She continues to be kind of the star that she is, and Charlotte begins like a downward spiral to getting that 17th championship. And it starts to it could be a huge storyline. It could be a really well done storyline if they do it right.
They could potentially even tie that loosely, tangentially into night 2's main event. But I if you had asked me this question 2 weeks ago, I would have said Charlotte Flair 100%.
Mm-hmm.
But then that most recent promo that the two of them cut, where the crowd shit on Charlotte Flair the whole time, it's not the same as a heel run. This is a performer that is just legitimately not liked. When the crowd is chanting, "You should retire," that's not a sign of respect, right? That's not a sign of the character getting over as a heel. That's just a genuinely disliked person. Yeah. The question is, does creative want to poke that bear? Or,
I mean, truly, the fact of the matter is that Charlotte Flair's character needs to be rehabbed. And there, at this point, I feel like there's only really one way to do that if she wants to continue to wrestle and make a bigger appearance.
she needs a catalyst for change, which would be losing this. I hope you're right. But I'm not convinced.
I mean, I trust Triple H enough to like be smart with that story, but it's hard to say. Daniel?
So I think Stephanie McMahon is going to come in, and she's going to be the ref.
She's going to appoint herself special guest referee.
Exactly.
Honestly, I don't hate that at all.
And then it becomes a bikini match.
Okay, now you've gone a little too
Jerry
far.
the King Lawler came back.
Yeah, Jerry the King Lawler came
Puppies!
back for this match.
I like the idea that Stephanie McMahon, one of the driving forces of the women's revolution, is going to come out and turn it into a bikini match.
Mm-hmm. It's perfect.
Bikini and heels.
Okay. All right. I like the idea of Stephanie as a special referee. I just don't know how it works in the storyline, but I'm not opposed to it.
Sure. Yeah, not at all. Trish, though, that would make sense in the
that
storyline.
One. Yeah, I could see. All right.
World Heavyweight Championship. Gunther, who's the champion, versus the upstart Jey Uso.
Dan, we've been
Main
bloviating
event.
a lot. Do you want to go first on this one?
So Gunther versus Jey Uso.
Right.
Yeah. So Gunther is like an Austrian Hitler, kind of.
Should we go first just to give you time to think and maybe get some context?
I immediately don't want any version of Hitler, any flavor of Hitler to win.
Matt, don't say. Okay, clearly we need to go first to give context.
So Hulk Hogan is going to come in.
Matt, you know he's going to believe anything you say.
Hulk Hogan is going to come in, and he is going to do the leg drop on whatever flavor of Hitler there is.
Does the crowd still boo Hulk Hogan anyway?
Yes, but it's part of his redemption arc. He's going to say, "See, I'm not racist. I just leg dropped. I dropped the the American
man
leg on Hitler."
Yeah, but saying I'm not racist, I hate white people too is kind of like fucked up in and of itself.
Why did you make him out to be like Hitler when he's just an authority figure type? Like that's the air he gives
the
off.
General, the ring general.
Yes,
is literally what he's referred to as.
Okay, anyway. I was saying about my prediction.
As much as I want Jey Uso to win this match, because I really, really do, I don't see it happening.
I saw an interesting theory that Jey Uso is going to end up being like the third man in the whole Rock John Cena.
You think he sold? Like he sold out?
I saw a very interesting theory that proposed the idea. It was on Reddit. Listeners, you can search for it. It's on the Squared Circle subreddit.
Just have allergies hit you in the face? Is that what just happened?
My right eye just like got crazy itchy all of a sudden, and now it's all red and I'm itching and it's not getting any better. And now I've seen my own eye on camera before you mentioned it. So thanks for pointing it out. I can see it looks like I got hit in the face with a bouquet of flowers. But
did you wash your hands after you pooped? You might have given yourself pink eye.
Yes, but I also haven't pooped in like a while. Anyway, why are we talking about this?
Leaving all of this in.
Going back to what we were talking about. Thanks for pointing that out, Matt. Basically, the theory was there's been, you know how like there was a while people were picking up on the hand gestures and stuff that were getting made. There's been hand gestures made that The Rock has done. Like they both kind of did like the sideways peace sign on the same night or whatever. And then, there's been these other kind of suggestions in promos and stuff that there's a third person involved that we just don't know of yet. It might be more real than that. Again, I don't watch on the regular, so I couldn't tell you. But the theory is that Jey Uso is going to win, become the World Heavyweight Championship, and then John Cena subsequently, we'll talk about this match in a moment, will win as well. And
maybe.
And then The Rock will own all 3 championships because he'll have John Cena and Jey Uso's quote unquote souls. So, and also, I don't think I get why they put the World Heavyweight Championship on Gunther in the first place, kind of, maybe a little bit, but he doesn't move the needle like Jey Uso does. And I think Jey Uso is, again, kind of owed a comeuppance at this point. I know they can't give everyone the comeuppance because eventually, like, they have to have that kind of shock or whatever. Like, they have to tell a story. Maybe that's where Charlotte Flair comes into play. I just feel like Jey Uso. I feel like it's Jey Uso.
Do you want to revise your Hulk Hogan theory at all, Dan?
Nope, sticking with it.
Okay. All right.
Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins versus CM Punk. It's weird to have those 3 names up there and there not be a championship on the line.
Yeah, but it does make sense for it to be main event.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I want Seth Rollins to win. I just don't see it happening. Unfortunately, fucking CM Punk, for whatever reason, has been shot to the moon, and I hate it. Because he's beat Seth every time so far. And I think that Seth is due the win against Punk. But I do think Punk is going to win.
Dan, what do you think?
I think Big Papa Pump is going to be under the ring, and he is going to be injecting steroids to try to make one last push, but it's going to cause a heart attack, and he never exits underneath the ring.
So you don't even know about it?
Yeah, nobody knows about it until afterwards.
Okay, so first off, you've killed Scott Steiner under the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly,
I didn't kill anybody. Steroids killed him.
What you just said had literally no impact on the match at all.
Yeah, I know. People that
prediction.
are running the program are going to be very shocked.
And they're going to be able to nail down his time of death to precisely during that match.
Yeah.
Okay. I like it. He's just been bored since his Shoney's in Georgia closed back in 2020.
Yeah.
So now he's going to try and make a push.
Exactly. He's been working out for the last year and a half to try to get back into shape so he can,
This is an audio format for the most part. No one's going to know what you just did during that long silent part.
Yeah, well.
I don't know why you made such an aggressive jacking off motion, but
I mean this nicely, but get to your prediction, Scott.
So yeah, we've been going for a while, huh? Honestly, I would say you could flip a coin on this one, but it's a 3-way match, so that wouldn't work. You could roll a D3 for this one. For me, I honestly have no clue. I'm gonna say Seth Rollins gets his chance.
I wish. All right, night 2. Let's go quicker.
Sin City Street
We've
Fight.
Used up all of our things.
Sin City Street Fight. Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker. Defending versus Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio.
FYI, Braun Breaker is Scott Steiner's son. It's nephew.
Yes, that's true.
It's going to make the show even more tragic.
It's Rick Steiner's son. It's Scott Steiner's nephew. Women's Tag Team Championship, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defending from Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Mm-hmm. Women, AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. Women's World Championship, Io Sky champion versus defending from Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. Undisputed WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes defending from John Cena. Starting off, Sin City Street Fight, Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest.
Damian Priest win. No, you know what? I'm changing that. Drew McIntyre gets his win.
Yeah, I was going to say Drew McIntyre as well.
With the help of Reba McIntyre, who's not related, but she comes in and distracts and allows him to get the pin.
Perfect.
What the fuck is Reba doing here?
She throws him a chair. Intercontinental Championship, Braun Breaker, Penta, Finn Balor, Dominic Mysterio.
Saw the theory, and I'm going to stick with it today. Dominic Mysterio pins Finn Balor.
Why is that the theory?
Because it would be funny.
No, okay. Because of the
Judgment Day. Yeah.
Judgment Day past. Okay. Go ahead.
I agree with Matt, but it's going to be of the help of the Nation of Domination. They're going to come in, distract, knock out the ref, and
The
allow...
Rock and Farouk come out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure I understand the Nation of Domination's interest in this particular match, but okay.
Dominic Mysterio, he's everybody's favorite felon.
Yeah,
Sure, that's right. He did time. I'm gonna say that Braun Breaker overcomes the odds and retains.
I mean, yeah.
Women's Tag Team Championship: Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. Am I saying that right?
You did say it right, yeah.
Okay, good.
I think Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez retain.
I concur.
and I think Trish Stratus will be a special guest referee for this.
The way your eyes are darting around on this, it makes me think that you're just Googling 90s and 80s wrestlers at this point.
I did have to Google Trish Stratus because I could not remember her name.
That's fair.
So wait, what did you Google to figure out what her name was?
Former female WWE wrestlers.
All right, AJ Styles versus Logan Paul.
There was more to that.
Logan Paul loses because fuck him.
I wish. No, Logan Paul wins.
I think you're probably wrong. I think Logan Paul probably wins this one. They love him too much.
It's sad, but it's true. They're gonna have. He's gonna headline WrestleMania next year. I hate it,
Probably.
but it's gonna happen.
Here's the worst part about it. We've gone quickly through them. We have some time for two of these.
We don't really, but
we
okay.
Do. Well, look, we're on the finale anyway. Those are always shorter. And you also got to remember there was a little bit of time we wasted there at the beginning. The worst part about it is that as obnoxious as Logan Paul is as a real person, as a character and in the ring, he's good. And it fucking sucks that he came in and was just that good to start. So yeah, he's probably going to be Logan Paul.
I think it upset some people.
Yeah. Women's World Championship, Io Sky defending from Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley.
I think Io Sky retains. I think
really?
that they've built the match of being essentially her being ignored the entire time, and I think that's going to come back to bite them in the ass. I want Rhea Ripley to win.
I think they want to get that belt back on Rhea. I'm going to say Rhea.
I feel like if it's not Io, it's Bianca, to be honest, but I hear you. Daniel?
Ripley wins because of an unforeseen spectral visit from the ghost of Chris Benoit's kids.
Oh no!
You're the worst.
No!
You just canceled this whole podcast.
This is just one kid, by the way. Just the one.
You just canceled this whole podcast, you monster.
Oh my god.
Well, folks,
it's been fun. We're going to finish this bracket, though.
Undisputed Championship. God damn. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena.
I'm going to go with Cody just so that I can be different than you.
I mean, it's obviously going to be John Cena.
I
say that with enough conviction to realize that they probably know we're saying that, and they could absolutely go with Cody just to surprise everyone, but they just won't. John Cena's going to get his 17th title at his last WrestleMania. He's going to break the record. They're going to have fucking fireworks out the fucking wazoo. You know they always end WrestleMania with a giant amount of fireworks. John Cena's is going to fucking blow. Where is it at again? Oh, Vegas. Oh, yeah. There are going to be fireworks from one fucking end of, I guarantee you, there will be a shot after John Cena wins the title where there will be fireworks from one end of the strip to the other. Fireworks will go all the way up and down off of hotel roofs from one end of the city to the other. I guarantee you John Cena goes out of his last WrestleMania on top with that title with all of that pomp and circumstance.
I know. They're also going to have the Sphere have like a congratulatory message to him.
Sure. Yeah. It's going to be everywhere.
But I still want Cody to win.
I mean, I get it, but it
Adrenaline.
ain't going to fucking happen.
Do you think The Rock's going to interfere?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
He's going to be out there the whole time, yeah. Now, if anybody... Yeah, that was my prediction, he said.
Yeah, go ahead. Dan, that's a solid prediction, my friend.
That's a pretty good one.
All right. I guess in 2 weeks we'll revisit, see how we did.
Fucking
I feel bad
monster.
about that joke.
You absolute monster.
Oh, I can't believe you. Hello and welcome back to Bracketology, the podcast that definitively decides all things tournament brackets style.
Skyle.
Skyle.
I'm the best there is, Scott Grubb.
I'm the best there was, Matt Robinson.
And I'm the best there ever will be, Dan Default.
I started to read my own name before I finished my previous sentence, and that's what happened there. This
We
week,
know. We know what happened.
This week, what did we call the four? Did we have
The Fatal Four.
Oh yeah, that's right. This week we're down to the Fatal Four of our Legendariest WWE Champion bracket. We've got 3 matchups ahead of us. We're going to get through the Fatal Four, and then we'll determine the overall winner in this one. So, gentlemen, what do we got ahead of us? 2 matches.
Disappointment is what I have.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm excited about how mad Matt's going to get about however this turns out.
Ric Flair versus The Rock. I mean, look, Ric Flair, he's got the drip in multiple ways. He has...
he takes medication for one of them. At least one of them.
It's funny. So at work, this actually came up randomly the other day in a group that I have a chat with, and they posted a picture of Ric Flair, and somebody else was like, "Oh, that's the greatest wrestler," or the GOAT. I fucking hate that word. I don't know why. Don't ask me. But they're like, "Oh, that's the GOAT," and I just had to be like, I don't want to just disagree with you, but you're wrong. So definitely not the greatest wrestler of all time. Great for what he did and what he provided to entertainment. But he wrestled for too long. He holds the record for championships right now, 16 world titles.
He's got that for about 6 more days.
But other than that, and helping to produce and raise Charlotte Flair, I just don't see him going past the Fatal Four. This feels very much like a Sweet Chin Music I Love You scenario where Rick drops on the floor right here.
Dan, what do you think?
Think
you're more from Ric Flair's era.
Yeah, I think Ric Flair did a lot. Like, to me, Ric Flair is the heel of all heels. He was, especially during the Four Horsemen days, he was the one you couldn't trust. He never had a clean match because he always got interference. But he was the heel that everyone loved to hate. And he was really good in that role. He did a lot to lift up the industry, but The Rock took it to a whole nother level. I don't think we have ever seen a professional wrestler hit the zeitgeist as hard as The Rock has. Like, there have been, Hulk Hogan made his way into movies, but the best movie he ever did, he played Sugar Lips, and it was a Rocky movie, right? The Rock has been in a lot of really good movies. Not movies that I personally enjoy, but there is a big audience for the Fast and the Furious.
You can't tell me that you haven't enjoyed a single one of of The Rock's movies.
You're right. There have been a couple. There was one of the plethora of movies with him and Kevin Hart where he was
Jumanji
No, not Jumanji.
The CIA one?
Huh?
I'm
Central
just
Intelligence.
Interrupting you.
Yeah, he was in the CIA, and that one was pretty good. But yeah, so he's been in a lot of really big movies and big TV shows, and I think The Rock has just elevated himself so far because of that base that he had from wrestling. And I think that speaks to the caliber of talent that The Rock has.
So I think you make a valid and interesting point, though, that Ric Flair, I don't know that pro wrestling would have made it as far as it did without Ric Flair. Like, he to me is the one who made pro wrestling a marketable TV product to make it an American pastime of sorts, right? Like Hulk, don't get me wrong, other people on this bracket, notably Hulk Hogan up from that list, definitely propelled it to make, and he was like the first household name, but Ric Flair was like, he was the kind of the first one, I think, to move that needle. But I think you're both right in that The Rock achieved a much higher status. I mean, he definitely was a household name in a time when cable television reigned supreme. So you didn't just have 3 channels to choose from, and one of them was showing Ric Flair. You had 120 channels to watch, and The Rock dominated ratings for that time frame. He drew in more than anything else, and then he propelled that to a greater career. Have you never seen like Walking Tall, or what's the other one that he did? The Runaway. What'd you say?
The Rundown.
The Rundown. Yeah. Have you never seen either of those?
Walking Tall, yes. The Rundown, no.
I mean,
The Rundown's pretty funny because that's the one with Sean William Scott, and he gets stung by a bee at some point. I don't know. It is. Look, I saw
the one with him and Ryan Deadpool.
Reynolds.
Yeah, Reynolds.
Red Notice,
the most famous fucking actor on the planet right now. I don't want to take away
both of them. People's sexiest man alive at some point.
Sure. I don't want to take away what The Rock has done. He's been very successful. He's an incredible businessman. I do think that it's important for me to plant the seed now. I think that as a wrestler, specifically his time wrestling was much, much better. He produced a much better product early on in his career before he started to go into Hollywood and make the movies and things like that. Not saying that he wasn't. Obviously, he's a bigger star since then. Like, that has, sure, launched tremendously, but that's not all it is when it comes to wrestling. Like, once he started doing that, he did start, when he would come back, it would be, the big surprises, get the shock value, the pop, and then do 5 moves, right? Like, over and over, and just kind of, he never expanded what that became. I mean, I do think his reinvention now to being like the final boss and the way that he's looking at that, I think that that's one of his better returns so far.
He still had a hell of a match last year.
And again, I don't want to take away from his talent. I just think that it stopped evolving when he left for Hollywood. I do think he beats Ric Flair in this matchup.
Yeah. If we're going votes, I agree. I think The Rock overtakes Ric Flair.
Sorry, Ric Flair.
All right.
All right. Next up, we have Matt's favorite, John Cena, versus the King of Kings, Triple H.
I don't know how many times I need to tell you, dude. Just go top to bottom each time, because that's how I have the images come in.
Look, I am trying to aggravate you 2 times.
Yeah, but you could have. Okay.
This, I think, is a lot closer matchup than you two will give it credit. I think John Cena has kind of been the face of WWE for a long period of time. Like, even to this day, when you see, or if you happen to see like the bus drive around, or you go to, the shops, like, he's always going to be the first face that you see on those things, because he is a draw and kids love him. And it is a huge thing for people.
Sorry, I'm laughing because out of curiosity, just to test your theory, I pulled up shop.wwe.com, and sure as heck, the first face I see front and center, John Cena, looking over his shoulder, smirking at me.
But
digitally touched up with AI.
that's for sure. But Triple H is the King of Kings. Like Triple H, I think, helped to multiple times transform the business in a lot of different ways. Obviously, just kind of being himself, and we talked about this in the last time that we talked about Triple H. But his ability to be kind of a chameleon and what is needed at any given time to be the Hunter Hearst Helmsley. FYI, there is an L in there before the M in Helmsley. For him to be able to be Triple H, to be the King of Kings, to be DX, to go through all of the different adjustments. And he was never, ever afraid to put people over. Like he was a big part behind getting other people up and over, like the Shield in general, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, like being able to help them, like newcomers into the business. I think Triple H carries a lot more for the wrestling industry and for WWE than John Cena. Not by much, but I do think that Triple H has that extra, because it didn't just end, right? When he retired, he didn't just stop and walk away completely. He continued to develop, he continued to build people up, he continued to write stories, and now is the fucking creative officer for the entire company. And not just that, he has done so much good for WWE in the last few years. So much good. Like the storytelling has gotten so much better, more continuous, right? Like it actually makes sense. Bringing in new talent, like bringing in talent that got let go because some asshat didn't like them, right? Like bringing people back to rejoin the company. It has been really, really important and very successful for WWE. Now I can take your counter arguments.
No, I think that you are I don't think that I'm as far removed from or far deviated from your opinion as you believe I am. I do think that Triple H's DNA runs throughout everything WWE in the last. I mean, I was gonna say 5 years because of his creative control, but really it goes beyond that, because you're right. I mean, he had an illustrious, long tenured, in-ring career prior to everything that he's done. And he has, I think, in a time where the WWE really had to focus on doing damage control, he was the shoulder that they could lean on to do that. And not only did he succeed in that incredibly difficult spot to be in, but he excelled, and he's built the business up to even greater heights than what it was prior to the shit hitting the fan. That Netflix deal is huge. WWE is now more accessible and in more homes than it ever was before. People in other countries can watch it live now on a streaming service in a way that they never were able to do before. So the accessibility that he's granted the product, the visibility, the income that he's brought in, and on top of all of that, the fact that they've had compelling enough stories that have driven that level of rating. I mean, that impact cannot be ignored. And I think from an internal and business standpoint, a lot of people would look at that and ask that question of, does that put Triple H over John Cena?
So my 2 cents here is that we are talking about the legendariest pro wrestler. And
Legendariest WWE champion. I want to just
legendariest
clear that up real
WWE
quick.
champion. But when you really think about what it takes to be the legendariest, I think although Triple H has had a huge impact on the business, John Cena will be the bigger legend just because how well known he is, how popular he is. And that is what makes the legend in Legendariest. You turn on Fortnite, you don't see a Triple H skin, but you do see a John Cena skin. Triple H isn't in movies. John
Not true.
Cena is.
Not true.
All right. Triple H doesn't headline or star in movies.
Also not true.
Also
he
not
is.
true.
He did star in one movie.
Oh, what was the movie?
Babysitter.
Are We There Yet? Oh no, he was in
Oh.
2. He was in Are We There Yet?
Okay.
He,
well, the
he
fact
was the
that
main character.
the fact that I did not know about those movies.
Blade Trinity.
Yeah, I know he was in Blade Trinity, but he was like a bad guy that did not have a whole lot of on-screen time and is killed by Wesley Snipes.
I actually think he's killed by Jessica Biel in that movie, strangely enough. But look, the fact I
Did
need
he
to argue
pedigree
some
anyone in the
points.
movie?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, good. I always love when the pro wrestlers break out their signature moves in fights in the movies.
So here's my argument. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
is John Cena more well known? Yes, because he's wrestled recently. Like not just that, but he's been in pop culture a lot more recently than Triple H has, in movies and in TV shows and in coming back to absolutely. So I think there's a little bit of recency bias that exists within that. I also think
I don't think
during-
the
shut up.
recency
Hold on, I'm
bias
not done.
impacts me because I don't watch wrestling.
yes, but shut up. Hold on. It does impact you because you don't watch wrestling, so you know who John Cena is. Anyway,
I know who Triple H is too.
in addition to that, I think that the time that John Cena was mainly active, right, as a professional wrestler, it overlaps a bit with Triple H, but the majority of his career, he was realistically the only big name that was constantly there, right, and constantly going. Whereas when Triple H was in his heyday, he not only had to compete with The Rock, with Steve Austin, with Kurt Angle, with Edge, with Chris Jericho. I want you to think about, and because Scott can answer this because he's watched it recently.
he had to compete against who? Say those names again. Who were the
Rock, Kurt Angle, Edge, Chris Jericho, Eddie Guerrero. I'll throw in another one.
Okay, go ahead.
What I'm saying is, in terms of like big names, Triple H was a lot more, he had a lot more to that for the majority of his career. Whereas John Cena, while he was there for some of that, right, and had tons of matches with a few of those, including Triple H.
Yeah.
Again, the PG era kind of changed that, and John Cena became the face because he could relate to kids and he could do whereas Triple H he just had more competition and he still raised the bar. It's a lot easier to raise the bar when there's no one else holding the bar down.
John Cena also had feuds with The Rock and with Edge and with Triple H. The only one I think you listed that he didn't was Stone Cold. So like, if the argument is that Triple H had to compete against those characters, well, yeah, so did John Cena.
I'm not saying in the ring. I'm saying in terms of other personalities around him during the majority of his career.
Yeah, but in order to be in the ring, they also had to be around each other in the show too. Like they
sure. But again, it was only because John Cena came into WWE when 2003.
I don't
2003, 2004, somewhere around there. Who were his biggest rivals?
2002.
2002. Who were John Cena's biggest rivals?
I mean, The Rock, Triple H,
Randy Orton.
They weren't
Randy
though.
Orton?
They weren't though. Randy Orton. That was one of his biggest rivals, right? Wade Barrett.
No, he definitely had run against The Rock.
When The Rock was very part-time and it wasn't a consistent or a constant thing that ran over years. Whereas when Triple H is wrestling,
it's still
but it's not when you look back on it, and I'm saying this as somebody who watched it, right? When you look back on it, that's not the majority of, that's not like the biggest stretch of his career. That is a part to the early part of his career.
But yeah, you could say that about so many wrestlers. The point is, you asked how many big rivalries did he have. You can't then exclude The Rock because The Rock was part-time. Did they have a storyline? Yes. Did they have big matches in pay-per-view events? Yes. Did they have build-up to those big matches in big pay-per-view events? Yes.
Who was Triple H's retirement match against? Who was his
Are you
last
asking?
match against?
I have no idea.
His final match was against The Undertaker.
Sure.
Who's John
okay.
Cena's final match going to be against? Scott and I have an opinion. We want it to be Randy Orton because that makes sense. I love Randy Orton. He's not in the final. He's not in the Fatal 4 here, though. Triple H's, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's just a difference in level in, and maybe it's just my opinion, but I think that Triple H has the fuck both of you. Triple H had more to work with. He had more to work against to make himself a big name. He literally, almost single-handedly, with a few other people around him, reversed the Monday Night Wars.
You can't say with a few other people around him and not
Like
be
Degeneration
talking about.
X.
But it was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
No, he was out when this whole
The Monday Night Wars bullshit. He wasn't out. Stone Cold Steve
right.
Austin helped end that 83-day run.
The thing that started that 83-day run ending
Was the NWO.
Triple H.
Oh my
Triple
God.
H rolling up to the arena as Nitro was taping live and calling him out. Like, that started it. That started the downfall of the WCW. Not saying Stone Cold didn't have anything to do with it, but I'm saying Triple H started that reversal of fortune. Any documentary you watch about the Monday Night Wars talks about how important that moment was. And that was Triple H. And so not only does he have creative control now and has done a tremendous job with it, he also has been one of the only people who has, at least semi-consistently, had the boss's ear prior to that.
I don't understand what your hate boner is for John Cena, but he is objectively more legendary than Triple H. I'm not trying to take away from Triple H impact to the business. He's had a much bigger impact to WWE. But when you think about legendary, John Cena's run as the face and the fact that he has 16 championships,
Almost 17,
shows you who is more legendary.
Or that he was the only guy worth it to put the belt on 16 times. I'm just saying. Like, it's I don't think so. When you talk about legendary in a business, in a company, the impact that you have on that company long term far outweighs how many times you got Employee of the Month.
So I think what you're saying is what I said, but I wasn't done. Because what I said was that he, from a wrestling and insider's perspective, I think that Triple H definitely would be a contender because of the impact that he had on the business and what he's done for WWE again throughout his whole career, but especially in the most recent time frame. But Dan, it was funny. He mentioned the Fortnite skins, which is, I mean, certainly a viable example, but it's part of the overall metric of what makes somebody legendariest. You could walk up to a random person on the street and show them two pictures, one of Triple H and one of John Cena, and ask them if they know who either one of them are. And I guarantee you there's going to be a swaying percentage that are going to know who John Cena is and not know who Triple H is. Just as a couple reference points I pulled up out of curiosity, John's, like, thinking about that legend, and the thing about being a legend is that you are a story that is told, right? You have a legacy that can get carried on. You think about, like, other terms of other uses of the term legend, like Paul Bunyan and things like that. One of these people will qualify in that space because, again, everyone knows who they are. The other one certainly will excel in that space from people who know the business and know the who are fans. But look, Triple H has been on the Tonight Show one time. John Cena's been on it 14 times. John Cena has hosted Saturday Night Live. Triple H has not. John Cena's been in successful movies. Triple H has seen them. There's no comparison when you think about that legendary aspect. It goes bigger than the business. It goes beyond what happened in the ring, or honestly, what even happened outside of it. Is how you propelled and carried the business to new heights. John Cena, again, moves that needle. I don't think that you see the you just don't see the interest in WWE being what it is without John Cena. And again, when you take into consideration, if we're talking about the impact John Cena or Triple H had on the business as part of his legend, you have to take into account the things John Cena's done outside of the ring as well, like also holding a record for the most Make-A-Wishes that ever done. And just the demeanor and character and the way that he carries himself out of the ring and the inspiration that he brings from that. And not to say Triple H doesn't do those things, but he's not in the public. Even if he does do them, he's not in the public eye enough for anyone to know. And that, again, feeds into why John Cena, and that's not to, I know he does those things. I saw the Connor's Cure clips. Like, I know he does, but he's not in the public eye like John Cena is. It's just not the same. I'm sorry to break your heart, Matt. I see the heartbreak in your eyes.
Are we putting our votes out there officially?
I'll flop mine right on the table. It's John Cena.
Matt, who are you voting for?
You can't abstain from the vote just because you're salty.
I already gave my vote. I just
John
think that
Cena?
it's bullshit. I think it's absolute bullshit because all you care about in these fucking brackets in any way is how much money did they make? How much did they do this? Not what they actually impacted.
I didn't say anything
business.
about how much money anyone made. I didn't say anything about how much money anyone made.
I gave my
I didn't
vote
talk
and
about
my
merch
rant.
sales. I didn't say anything about that. Although, now that you mention it, it is another great point. And if anything, if we're talking about how much money anyone made, I talked about the great deal Triple H made with Netflix. That's money made, baby.
Yeah. So, Matt, I think you are looking through the keyhole of somebody that loves wrestling. And anybody that has that perspective is obviously going to go with Triple H, right? Because Triple H did more for that keyhole, that business, than John Cena did. But he did that a lot of the creative. He did that by being a chameleon in the ring. But John Cena is like opening up the door to everything. And the people that don't know wrestling know John Cena, and that's how legends are made, is that your impact goes beyond the core group around you, right? To people that know nothing of what you do, but they know who you are. That makes a legend.
Yeah, if we were talking about legendariest entertainer, I would agree with you, but we're not. So let's move on to the final matchup.
All right. Up next, we have the final two. We have The Rock versus John Cena.
I gotta say, I'm not extremely happy with this final matchup.
Because we
No
fell into
fucking
the most
shit.
obvious trap.
No fucking
Yeah.
shit.
But I understand.
Who else would it be?
I understand how we got here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. We're coming up against the once in a lifetime match that happened 2 times in a row. Again, who else would it be? I mean, of course it's these two.
And again, we're not talking about best technical wrestler.
Nope.
We aren't talking about best high flying wrestler. We aren't talking about best tag team wrestler. We're talking about Legendariest. And these two are the biggest.
We're not talking about
legends.
wrestlers at all. We're not talking about who the best wrestler is. We're not talking about anything. We're talking about who is the bigger name. So just pick which one you think is a bigger name.
I did not know that John Cena and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson did not get their start in wrestling, and that served as a catapult into everything else they've done.
I forgot
that they came into wrestling after already being famous.
That's my fucking horseshit argument, 100% and you know
on me.
You know what? When we do the best NFL player of all time, I'll make sure Goldberg's on that list. How's that?
Dude, there are plenty of...
There's no way he's going to get 32. I mean, there's 32. Yeah. There's only 32 spots.
There are so many NFL players that have a bigger notable name than Bill Goldberg.
It is, to Matt's point, though, it is funny. If you Google John Cena and The Rock, both of them, it comes up, it says John Cena or The Rock, American actor and professional wrestler. Professional wrestler comes second.
Yeah, and again, that's my apologies. I didn't know they were already famous before.
Yeah, no.
The WWE career.
Oh my gosh, he's such like a squared circle mod. He's so salty that we got into the clear two. Who would your final two have been, Matt, in your ideal world?
Triple H and Kurt Angle.
Wow. Okay.
That is so wrong.
Yeah, on so many levels.
No one fucking knows who Kurt Angle is that's not a fan.
Who the fuck are we doing this podcast for?
Not pro wrestling fans. We're not a pro wrestling podcast.
Who are we doing this podcast for? Legitimately. Because to me, we're doing it for us.
But you got to take yourself out of it. This is for science.
I don't take myself out of shit.
This is for science.
So, we got The Rock and we've got John Cena. We have talked on and on about the impact of both of these two. And Matt, is the biggest fan of John Cena.
And The Rock, apparently.
I think if you look at comparable metrics, I do think Matt brought up a good point that during the latter part of John Cena's career, he didn't have as much talent around him as Triple H or The Rock. The Rock always had that super talented staff so he could have somebody to go up against. I also think when you watch the matches, The Rock is more fun to watch. And then lastly, if we're talking about zeitgeist impact, The Rock is objectively a more well-known name because he's just been in more effective medium, more, critically acclaimed movies than John Cena has.
More viewed movies?
Yeah, more viewed.
And just more movies.
Yeah.
Period. Yeah. The question, though, is that for me, I don't know if Matt's going to like this or not. I think
if you literally say which one's the better wrestler, I'm going to walk to Colorado Springs and I'm going to slap you.
No, neither one of them's the better wrestler. They're equally 5 moves of doom and done. But if you think about,
might as well have them in the championship of best wrestler.
That's not what we're talking about.
We're not talking about best wrestler.
See, for science, you need to know the parameters of your experiment. But I think to some degree, The Rock's popularity outside of the ring, in the question of Legendariest WWE champion, I think it does diminish his argument versus John Cena some, because between the two, John Cena is still more famous for being a pro wrestler, whereas The Rock, I feel like his movie career at some point surpassed his pro wrestling career, if that makes sense. Like, John Cena would love for that to happen. It's clear he tried to make that happen, but his pro wrestling career is still what he's most known for. I know Google, I said a few moments ago, put actor and professional wrestler, but I feel like if a lot of people know The Rock as the guy that's also in Kevin Hart movies or from Jumanji or whatever, but when people see John Cena, they know him as the pro wrestler that's in that movie, you know? And I think to some degree that brings the question of, does The Rock's meteoric rise beyond pro wrestling kind of hurt his status as legendariest WWE champion versus John Cena? Matt, do you have any thoughts that aren't just crossing your arms and pouting?
Just salty
No, he's just
AF.
He's going to silently pout. All right, Dan, what's your actual final vote?
I gotta give it to the most electrifying. Yeah, it's going to The Rock.
Oh, Matt's going to be so mad. I think I get where you're coming from. I do. I swear to you, I'm not doing this on purpose. I get where you're coming from because I do think The Rock shone in a time when there was a lot of other lights. I think that he did propel obviously beyond the business, but I think his status just at some point he left it behind. Granted, he's back right now and he's doing a program, but there was a period of time where it felt like he left it behind. I don't think John Cena ever felt like he left it behind. I think that he is still known as professional wrestler first, actor second. I think, again, I said it in the cold open, he's going to get that 17th title. He's going to get that record. He's going to go out as the shining star of the end of WrestleMania this year. Fireworks are going to go off from one end of the strip to the other, not just around the arena, but the whole freaking stadium, but the whole strip. I think that he's the more legendariest WWE champion, which Matt puts us in a tie, buddy.
Here's the thing. John Cena is the most boring wrestler to watch, in my opinion. The Rock is a shill for all of the shit that he tries to sell on Instagram and other things, and that's basically all his life has turned into. I dislike both of these. I don't think either of them should be in the finals for the Legendariest WWE Championship or champion. I think that they are both wildly overrated. So I'm just going to say The Rock to get this over with.
There we go. Okay, that's fine. It's not worth arguing you on it anymore. I wasn't going to try and sway your mind. Just point out that overrated or not, that's still part of the legend. I don't think Paul Bunyan did all the things that he's noted for. He might be slightly
Paul
overrated.
Paul Bunyan was a saint,
legend.
you fuck.
There we have it. Legendariest WWE champion, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The saltiest pick in the history of bracketology.
The fact that came down to a tie and Matt had to break it makes all of this worth it.
And you know, on the plus side, if all the salt's a little too much, you can just grab some Tremana tequila, courtesy of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Buy his tequila brand, take a shot. You'll have the
or
salt.
His energy drink, or his fucking sandwich business, or whatever else he has
business.
Going on. I don't fucking know.
I've tried his energy drinks; they weren't bad. Anyway, we hope you've enjoyed another episode of Make Matt Grumpy. As always, we want to give a heartfelt thank you to Aaron O'Donnell from Aaron O'Donnell Music for the track here at the beginning and end of every episode. We couldn't have a successful podcast without you, we think. More than anything, though, we do want to thank everyone who's listened to bracketology. The 20 of you that are out there. what do we have to look forward to now that we have completed the Legendariest WWE champion and scientifically named Dwayne The Rock Johnson as such?
It's scientific. It can't be disproven now.
That's correct.
I'm going to piss on both of your door handles.
We have another round of surprise mini brackets. So each of these assholes are going to be coming with mystery mini brackets for us to try to pilfer through. So tune in. Next week, we'll be starting with Scoots. And I can't wait to see how we anger Matt next week.
I was making my bracket today and my daughter walked in and saw it. And she has some difficult questions. So... you have that to look forward to next week. What else do we have? Check us out on social media, interact. We could use the likes, the comments, the shares, the subscriptions, all of that stuff really helps. We're on the YouTubes. We're on the Fortnite. We're on that too on Twitch.
Yeah.
Matt and I are both on there, bracketology _ and then our name. We might get Dan's working one day.
Eventually.
If we can train him how to hit the right buttons. What else? We're on Facebook. Yeah. That's it. That's an episode. I have been the best there is, Scott.
I was the best there was, Matt.
And I am always going to be the best there ever will be, Dan.
Bye-bye.